What makes a story about an ogre and fairy tale creature so special? Hi, I'm Matthew McKellar, and this is Q to Q, a podcast all about local North Carolina theater. And in today's episode, I talked with Jillian Hale about Nash Central High School's upcoming production of Shrek the Musical. Jillian and I are playing Shrek and Fiona, and we have provide lots of insight about the show. I hope you enjoy. All right, so let's just start off simple. Tell everyone about yourself.
Hi, my name is Jillian Hale. I'm a junior in high school. That's about it.
What activities do you do?
I do musicals, show choir. I'm on dance team. I sing at church.
How did you first get started into theater?
So my mom is a drama and chorus teacher. So ever since I was born, she's always been like singing, playing the piano, talking about musicals. So my first musical I was in, I was 3 years old. So right then, 3 years, I was already doing musicals. So I think it just kind of stuck, especially with her being a teacher and everything. So
Have you stayed consistent the whole
I
time?
think I have been very consistent. I definitely think there are more opportunities for shows, at least around here, for when you get in high school. I mean, community theater is always a thing, but especially because I was busy with so many other things, I think definitely in high school I've been more active with theater.
Mhm.
And especially during COVID, I wasn't able to be in a lot of shows.
Yeah. You talked about your mom being a drama and chorus teacher. She is our director for Shrek the Musical. Do you think that makes it easier or harder for you to work with her? How is that dynamic?
I definitely think it makes it easier for some things, for like if I have to leave practice early or if I need something from her, she's always there. But I think it definitely makes it harder because she's your mom, so it's like it's a little awkward sometimes.
hmm Yeah. She's more understanding for um, other uh, what's the word? She's more understanding for other commitments you have outside of the
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But she is very lovely, and a great director.
Yes, definitely.
So out of the amount of shows that you've been in, is there a favorite that you have?
I would definitely say Annie has been one of my favorites. I was in that when I was 10 years old. I played Annie, and that was community theater, so that was at the Imperial Centre. I definitely think that was one of my favorites just because I was on stage all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
it was amazing. And then obviously Grease was definitely one of my favorites as well. I played Frenchie, so that was a fun role.
Yeah. Did did y'all have a real dog for Annie when you did it?
We did. That dog was mean.
Oh dang. I bet that's like tough to handle and deal with.
Yes, it definitely was. But it was a lot of fun to have, like, a real dog on stage.
hmm Yeah, and you mentioned Greece. I was in Greece as well. I played Sunny. We've also been in How to Succeed together, and now we're in
Yes.
Shrek together. You're Fiona, and I'm Shrek.
Yes.
Um, do you have any funny memories over the years with working together?
I definitely think there's more funny memories in a group. I think the main cast, especially with Grease, which would be
Mhm.
obviously Rizzo, Sandy. Wait, is that her name?
Yeah,
What's her
that's
name?
the girl.
Okay.
Sandy.
And then yeah, and then wait,
For the guys, it's Danny, and then Kaniki, and then Roger
Danny, yes.
and Duty.
All of them. I think, like, just us being together all the time, having to block, we obviously had a lot of good memories.
Yeah, and that was a classic show. Like everyone
That
knows,
definitely
we had a
yeah,
great time. We really did. Um,
definitely.
Yeah. Has there been a particular role that has been really challenging for you?
I would probably say Frenchie or Miss Jones from last year. I
Mm.
say Frenchie because she obviously has some sort of accent going on that I could not figure out. So I kind of had to make that my own, which was difficult, but it was also fun. And then as well, she's kind of ditzy. And I don't necessarily think that I'm a ditzy person. And so like trying to tap into that was difficult.
Mhm.
And then Miss Jones was kind of like the lines that were written for her were very it was hard for them to come across to the audience. And so trying to do that was very difficult.
Yeah, what was the line? It was, "Someone's head's gotta roll."
Yes,
Um,
and that made no sense and nobody laughed. It was awful.
yeah, your mom blocked it, because Miss Jones was a bowler and you did a whole bowling motion, but that one unfortunately flopped on stage. But,
Yeah, they
that's
mentioned her bowling one time, and that was in the beginning of the show. Nobody remembered it, so
yeah. Do you enjoy, because you're a dancer, what's your favorite type of dance that you enjoy? And also, like, do you prefer doing shows with more dancing because you enjoy that, or do you prefer to separate the two and do more shows that don't have dancing so you can focus on one thing?
right. So, for me, my favorite styles of dance are hip hop and ballet, which are 2 total opposites. So, I'd like ballet because it's more graceful and angelic, but hip hop, you can kinda get sassy with it, which is what I enjoy. So, I definitely would say doing shows with dance are more fun for me personally because I obviously enjoy dancing and I enjoy singing. So getting
Mhm.
to do them together at the same time is like really great. But also it can be frustrating when like it's cast dancing because as a dancer watching other people not dance like how I can see dancing can be difficult as well.
Mhm. And Fiona is more of a comedic role, but it also has some dramatic parts and emotional parts. Do you prefer playing comedic roles or dramatic roles?
I think personally it's easier for me to play comedic roles just
Mhm.
because I am a person that can be very serious about things, but also joke all the time. So I think for me, playing a comedic role is just much more entertaining for me. Playing a dramatic role would require me to really like enter a headspace, I guess, that I'm
Mhm.
not used to because I had never really played dramatic roles. So
Gotcha. Um, so let's talk about Shrek now. Um, First, for anyone who has never seen Shrek or doesn't know anything about Shrek, give a synopsis for us.
So Shrek was originally a children's book and it was a darker story, I guess you would say. It was still like humorous, but it wasn't as silly or as quirky as like the show is.
Mhm.
So around I'd say the late 90s, the DreamWorks got it and they created Shrek, which we all know. It came out in 2001. So it's been out for a good little bit and
Mhm.
it obviously hit really well. Very comedic, it was very funny, very silly. And then about 2008 is when it went on Broadway.
Mhm.
So very close time, I'd say, between when it came out as a animation to doing it in person. And then it stopped in 2010. So it hasn't been back on Broadway since then, which is
Mhm.
kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah. And for those who don't know, it's the story of this green ogre who gets fairy tale creatures dumped on a swamp, and then he goes to a castle and meets this guy named Lord Farquaad, and it goes on this big quest to find Princess Fiona, rescue her from a dragon, and then it's also a love story between the two. So it's just a great story, a great children's um, story. How do you feel? Because sometimes when a movie or a book gets adapted into a Broadway musical, it can sometimes be cheesy or not done properly. What do you think of Shrek? Do you think it was adapted well?
I definitely say it was. I think having the animation already be so silly and funny, you kind of had a lot of room to write it for on stage. I think it was written well. I definitely think that it is different. Like, just watching the movie and then watching it in person, it is very different. But
Hmm.
it's also like it hits the main points, so you obviously know what's going on.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I think it was I think it's about the same. I think that the movie has a song in it, and I mean the musical obviously has a lot more, but it kind of feels like the song should already be in the movie. So it doesn't feel like that big of a switch.
Yeah, the songs in the musical are great. It's a very contemporary style. And you got some laughter, you got some ballads in there, but there's also yeah, one song from the movie that is in the musical at the very end. It's called "I'm a Believer," and that will be after battles. Um, but I think generally it's a good adaptation, and it has still has a lot of the main jokes from the movie,
Mhm.
um, but uh, and some other ones, some new ones, which I think the audience will be excited to hear. All right. So, talk to me about the rehearsal process and the audition process at Nash Central. How does it differ from any other shows that you've been in?
So I definitely would say the rehearsal processes at Nash Central, I think we have a lot more time, I would say, than other shows that I've been in. We had from January. Well, we actually had auditions before Christmas break.
Hmm.
So we got our roles over Christmas break, and we could have kind of been looking over that. So we've known what we were going to be since about December. We started practices in January, and now our show is going to be end of April.
Hmm.
So I think obviously having a lot of time can be helpful, but it can also hurt the show in ways because we have so much time. We can get comfortable with our roles, we can get comfortable with the things that we're doing. But overall, I think it's been a smooth um, rehearsal experience. I think that because the show is so big and because we have such a big cast, we did need all the time that was given. We have 37 people in the cast this year, which is absolutely crazy. And
It,
I'd say about 30 of them probably have never done a musical. So
yeah.
having like that big of a difference between 7 people who have been on stage and 30 people who have never done this before, you kind of need all the time that you can get. So I think that the rehearsal process, it's been smooth. The dances, learning dances has been one of the best parts, I think. Uh, Obviously, learning the songs isn't everybody's favorite, but I think it did go smoothly. Obviously, little bumps along the road, but and then blocking is always a fun part of the rehearsal experience.
Yes, we do have a huge cast in this show. I think maybe the biggest I've ever worked with, certainly for you, right? Um,
Definitely.
and that is something. It's a school show and a school theater, so you're not going to have as many experienced people. Of course, you're going to have some people who have done musicals before, but most of them are going to be people trying it for the first time and just testing the waters and seeing what it's like. So that is a reason why we do rehearse for so much longer than a normal rehearsal period. And and I will say, like, sometimes when you rehearse too long, it you can get caught up in the minutia of it and just get bogged down with it. So I'm glad over this past week, our spring break, we didn't rehearse at all. And for a while, we were kind of nervous that the week before the show we didn't rehearse, didn't practice. Um, but we just had a rehearsal yesterday on the Saturday back, and it went pretty well. With all things considered, it went pretty well. So I would say that it's great to rehearse for a long time, but sometimes also taking some time off and stepping back from the material can um, can help with a performance. And I'm glad that we had a break. Yeah. So Fiona is such a big role in Shrek, what are the challenges that come along with that role, and what's your favorite part of performing that role?
I definitely would say one of my challenges would have to be having a love interest in the show as my character. The chemistry has just been difficult. I think I've never done anything like this for a
Mhm,
role, so it's just been kind of different from what I normally do. I definitely would think that something I'm excited for is gonna be I think there's scenes that I'm excited for. I think definitely
mhm,
Morning Person, we get a tap, which is really
yeah,
fun. I love tap. And I think This Is How a Dream Comes True. Great
mm,
song. So much happens in it. I think it's very entertaining. I think those two are probably my favorites in the show. And then I know it's today, but that's such like a I feel like
mhm.
almost everybody knows that song or has heard some of it at some point. So I think that's obviously one of my favorite parts because so many people know about it, but also I'm excited for them to see about the things that they don't know about already.
Yes, I'm very excited for this show too. And you mentioned Morning Person. I know it's today, and This Is How a Dream Comes True. There's big songs by Fiona. I know you're gonna kill it. And yeah, we us two being Shrek and Fiona, we are on stage so much of the time. Um, like it's very much an endurance piece for us in this show. uh do you enjoy breaks off the stage? I know I do. After I sing Who I'd Be at the end of Act One, I am glad to go to
Yes.
intermission. That might be my favorite part of the show.
I definitely would think that well, obviously we start off the show.
Hmm.
We see Shrek come on and it's kind of like a battle between Princess Fiona's book, Shrek's book. And so us
Hmm.
just talking about our stories. So I come on for that in the beginning and then I don't come back on for probably about 6 scenes. So I'm in
Yes.
the last, like, 3 scenes of act 1, and then I'm in the whole act 2. So having
Hmm.
that break in the beginning is nice, but it's also I know when show days come, it's gonna get the nerves going more because I haven't done anything on stage. And now it's, like, the end of act 1, and people are probably expecting to see Fiona, and then that's gonna make me nervous, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say always nice to have a break, but it's also very scary to go back on from a break. And also on the same side of that, us two starting the show off first, like being some of the first people on the stage, and especially me, I start the show off like with lines, and then I go into one of my solos. It's a bit nerve-wracking because you're going into the audience, very cold, and you haven't warmed up to them yet. But hopefully that happens fast, and hopefully the nerves don't get much. Um, what do you hope the audience will take away from the show?
So, obviously, the whole backstory to the show is acceptance and kind of like accepting who you are as a person. So I obviously hope that they take that because of the whole storyline.
Hmm.
I kind of hope that they take away not related to the storyline, but just how much like hard work and effort that it takes to put a show on, especially from high schoolers and from such a big cast and with everything happening right now with the Imperial Centre and just like it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of people to kinda get it going, so I hope that they take that away from the show and just have more of appreciation for the arts because obviously there's not much of that right now.
Yes, totally. For those who don't know, the city of Rocky Mount is going through a severe budget crisis, and they proposed cutting the Imperial Center, and that's really such a terrible thing to even consider because that it's the primary outlet for the arts in Rocky Mount, and especially theater. The only other big theater in Rocky Mount is the Dunn Center. Um, but the Imperial Center being, we were very scared for the Imperial Center being cut because if that got cut, then Shrek probably would have gotten canceled, and all these other problems emerged. But thankfully, it hasn't gotten cut yet. but will be good by the showtime. Everyone who is listening to this podcast should just support the arts as much as you can, because we are in a time where it's not really valued that much, and when it should be, and it's uh, taken for granted. To get back to the show, Fiona is a pretty unique character, and her whole storyline is about her being just afraid of who she really is, because she's a human by day, but then at night she got cursed and becomes an ogre at night, and she thinks it's ugly, thinks she's hideous, and is afraid for other people to see her that way. But then by the end of the show, when she starts to fall in love with Shrek and realize who he is, she learns to accept herself and realize that the ogre form of herself is truly her. Like, this is me, and this is who I'm meant to be. Is there any part of that message that is special to you? And do you think that will resonate with audiences?
Definitely. I think that just the whole idea of be true to who you are. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we've all been told that probably our whole lives. It's just like, don't change for anybody, just be who you are. I mean, I definitely think that you will always find people who are accepting of you, no matter where you are or what type of person you are. And I think this show just shows that there's so many different types of people. And obviously in the show you see fairy tale creatures, kings, ogres, princesses. So it's like, I think the characters also resonate with people and their personalities. And so just kind of seeing that in a different perspective can help you, I guess, view life differently in a different way. So I think that that is just a big takeaway from the show.
Yeah, and it's just such a great form of art because it connects with all different sorts of people. It's
Yes.
obviously suitable to a younger audience who's into fairy tales and all that sort of thing, but it also, some of the humor in it is will please some adult audiences that the younger audience may not quite catch on. Um,
Exactly.
and then, but yeah, and the themes throughout it, it's such a powerful piece of art because conveys such a meaningful message. And
Uh-huh.
I think it's just brilliant. I'm so glad that we're doing this show. Um, uh, is there any advice that you would give to any fellow students who may be nervous about performing and might want to get into theater?
I think my biggest piece of advice, because I'm on stage, I think a lot,
Mhm.
considering all of the things I do. Uh, I think my biggest takeaway would just be to do it with like everything that you have, because I mean, a little part of you might be nervous or a big part of you might be nervous, but in the end, it's either you do it now or you may not ever get to do it again. And
Mm.
because high school is only 4 years and you have
Yeah.
4 years to fit in everything that you want to do. And I think just going for it, even if you're nervous or scared, is just the biggest piece of advice, because all in all, not that many people are going to remember your mess up if you mess up on stage. And so if you
Yeah.
overthink it, it's just gonna be you overthinking about it, because I'd guarantee you probably one person in the audience saw it. So it's okay. And I think my biggest piece of advice is to just go for it. I mean, you only
Mhm.
get the opportunity once or twice, maybe not even twice.
Yeah.
So you only do it once.
Yeah. What do you think makes someone a great performer?
I think being a great performer consists of multiple things. I think it's your flexibility. I think it's obviously singing, acting, dancing, but it's also just like how you perceive the role and how you kind of take what you're given and make the most out of it. And I think
Mhm.
if there's a conflict in the role or something doesn't work for you, figuring out something else that works just the same makes you a great performer. Also, improving on stage if things happen. I mean, you can obviously tell if somebody's a great performer by just improving, and you
Mhm.
can go along with the storyline. Knowing the story can prove that you you kind of know what's happening in the show, which can also help other people know what's happening in the show.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, when can audiences catch Shrek the Musical? When is it playing?
You guys can come see Shrek April 16th through the 18th at the Imperial Centre at 7 o'clock.
Awesome. Why should people come support the show?
I think people should come support the show because we're a high school. I mean, there's 4 high schools in the county, and I think just supporting the arts and what people are putting on stage. I mean, we have kids in the show who are 13 years old, up to 18 years old. And so it's just seeing everybody come together and put something bigger than themselves together for other people to see is so important. And I think that there's a lot of beauty in things that people create. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like, we created this show. We created the costumes. We figured out the sets, the lights, our personalities as our characters. And I think showing other people what you can do is just super great.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for talking. Had a great time. See ya.
Thank you for having me.
A huge thank you again to Jillian Hale for coming on the show today. One thing that stands out from our conversation is how Shrek is all about acceptance and loving one another and being true to who you are. Be sure to check out Nash Central High School's production of Shrek the Musical this week, April 16th, 17th, and 18th at 7 p.m. at the Imperial Centre in Rocky Mount. Thanks for listening to Q to Q. If you enjoyed this podcast and support community theater, please subscribe to Q, the podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Thank you.